What's up, everyone? Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. It's the first episode of Wife Talks for the year. It's been a while. People are like, when's Wife Talks coming? When's the next one? But you know, we do everything spirit-led. So this episode I'm with my beloved friend. If you know me, you should know Katlego. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Hi everybody, my name is Katlego. This is my first time on YouTube. This is my first time.
Yeah.
First time on a video.
First time on a video, but yeah, I think you have featured before on the vlog when you went to Sunset.
Oh yes. Okay. Cool. I'm very excited to be here. Myself and Buli have been friends for very long. I think it's over a decade now.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's been years.
Yes, that's beautiful.
And she's finally here. I'm excited. So we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. But before we get into it, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, join the family, and obviously as we communicate, you know what to do. Give the video a thumbs up and comment below, because I think this topic is going to be a really lovely topic. So maybe you want to tell everyone how long you've been married for, how many kids you got, just a little story, yeah, about yourself. Yourself.
So I've been married for 5 years in April, 25th of April, and I've got 3 beautiful children. An 8-year-old Lies, he's actually 9. He turned 9 on the 14th of Jan, and I've got a 4-year-old who turns 4 in April 12th, and then I've got a 2-month-old.
A little newborn, a little
she's
baby.
a little darling.
Amazing.
So it's a boy and two girls.
Yeah. And how long? Okay, you did mention how long you've been married.
Yes, 5 years.
So how did you and Abuti Khaled meet? I call him Abuti Khaled. His name is Khaled, but we can call him Abuti Khaled.
Everyone calls him Abuti Khaled because he's like the big brother.
Because he's like everybody. A big Abuti. He's Abuti Khaled. So how did you guys meet, and when did you first realize after meeting him that okay, he has a son? From when you met and from when you realized he has a son, take us through that journey. Okay,
so we met 2013 December. It was my first week of working. Just finished varsity, started working, and I didn't want a relationship because I had just come out of a 3-year relationship which really knew about, and you know, I just wanted a break, and I was like, I don't want to be with anyone. I want to enjoy being by myself. And then this one day, I'm coming from work, minding my own business. Actually, my mom was picking me up from McDonald's there in Southgate. So he's the gym at the gym in Southgate. So I'm walking past the gym, and I see this hunk. And I'm like, oh Jesus, do not look at me, because I don't even want to talk to anyone right now.
Yeah.
So he obviously says hi, and I'm like, I'm not going to say hi back. And he says hi again, and I'm like, hi. And I just walk past him, and he comes after me. He's like, listen, just slow down, hi. And I'm like, hi. Please don't talk to me because I just don't want any drama, you know? So eventually he asked for my number, and I gave it to him really quickly once, and I thought he didn't catch it, and I was like, God, he probably didn't catch it anyway. So I got home and I told my sister, oh, I met this guy, but he's probably not gonna call me. And then he called me. We stayed on the phone the whole night, and that day he said to me, listen, you're gonna be my wife, I'm gonna marry you. I'm like, you're crazy, you just met me. Is that what you tell every girl you meet? He's like, no, I'm serious, you're my wife, I'm gonna marry you. I've been praying for you.
Day one.
You pray. 4 months later, the letter arrived to Katlego.
Yeah.
And we're here today.
So, but then between the time from when you first met, when did you realize that, okay, he's got a son?
He told me first night. That long conversation that we had, obviously we're talking about each other, or where you from, and he told me everything. I've got a son, this is what happened in my previous relationship. Not that he was talking like, let's date today, or anything. He was just telling me about himself, you know? And he was like, he's the biggest part of my life. I love him with everything that I am. And I think my son was 3 at the time when we met. And he said, you know, sometime I hope that you'll meet him if this relationship is actually what God desires for both of us. And it's just been an incredible journey. So from day one, I knew he had a son.
So obviously when we would sit around and chat, we never expected you don't plan to meet someone who has a child. But were you not like taken aback a bit when he mentioned, okay, I have a son, and you're like...
I was so excited about him because he had every quality I desired in a man. He was God-fearing. He's very smart. You know, good-looking guys, no, they can be good-looking, but sometimes they're not full in the head.
Yeah,
He had the entire package.
Yes.
He was smart. He would reason well. He was so down to earth, and I thought, wow, what an incredible person. So when he told me he had a son, I took it so well, you know. Obviously, I love children, but everyone tells himself, I will never marry a man with a child. You know? Even our aunts and uncles tell us, do not go close to people with children. But I think because of who he was, I just embraced it. Actually, my mom reminded me, she said, didn't you say you're not going to marry someone with a child? But you know, and here we are, and it's just been a great experience. It's not easy, but you know, along the way, it's trial and error. You pick up what's wrong, you pick up what's good, you keep the good going, you know. But I think the condition of your heart is really what matters at the end of the day.
So how long did you, after then you guys met, how long did it take for you to meet your son?
I think everything happened really quickly with that. I think after 3 weeks.
Okay.
He picked me up from work one day, and he actually didn't tell me I was going to bring him that day.
Okay.
And I got in the car, and there he was at the back. He's like, hi! I was like,
and then what did Abutikolo say? This is...
He actually said, this is Mom Katli. He never
not
said
auntie.
I was never auntie. And remember, he was 3.
Yes.
So he's still a baby at 3, you know. So yeah, he's still a baby. Actually, on his birthday, when he was saying a speech after he sang the song, and he said, thank you, Mommy, for loving me all these years. It's like, I don't remember when I met you. And to me, that's a great thing, because it means I've been in his life. Although he knows that I'm not his biological mother, but he can't remember how long it was. He can't say, when I met you on this day. He just remembers me being in his life, which is great. He's been growing. So that's really amazing. Which is great.
So from dating, things were not as intense. You didn't have to make necessarily any decisions about his life. How did you actually get into that thing? Did you wait until the fact that, okay, maybe now that I'm married, I can make certain decisions? Or when you were dating, did you feel like your input was needed? How did you navigate that space, knowing that, okay, I'm getting into something where he has his mom, you know, his biological mom, obviously his dad is there. These people have been making certain decisions in his life up until now. When did you feel like your input or your opinion was needed or necessary?
Okay, so I'm a very opinionated person by nature. So obviously I had to be very careful as to when do I fully exert myself and like give all my opinions. But because my husband's so wonderful and he's so orderly, I think from the day we met, he said, you know what, this is my son, I live my life with him. You'll find your balance between me and him, you know what I mean? And obviously he did let the mom know when we eventually got married, to say, I do have a life partner right now. She's going to spend a lot of time with your son. I hope that's okay with you. You know, so he did that with her before I came into, you know, putting my ideas out there.
Which is a good thing. So he became the mediator between the two of you guys, so that there's no
friction or anything like that. And I was privileged enough that when there was a time when my son was sick, we went to Durban. When he came back, I think he probably drank a lot of that seawater, but he came back with a stomach bug. And that was the first time I actually met the mom, because now we're at hospital, and obviously we're not gonna not tell her that, listen, the boy is sick. So once we came back from Durban, we called her, we were like, listen, the boy is sick.
We're already married at this time.
We were already married this time. So I think when we sat together, I think she's also very, you know, she's a very decent woman. I think, you know, she's got her heart in the right place and her mind in the right place. So we had a conversation. I was like, you know what, this is just about raising the boy. I was not there when whatever happened between the two of you. The boy was not there. Can we just work all together as a team and raise him the best way we can? And for her, she was like, you know what, Katlego, that would be the greatest blessing of my life. So we only engage with one another when it's about the child. It's never about anything else.
Let's go for coffee.
No.
Set
some real boundaries, you know. Real boundaries, but you want to keep it as clean as possible, as respectful as possible. Even if the next person doesn't give you that respect, offer it to them. You know, give them that respect, give them that, you know, I'm here with the right intentions, and they'll tag along the way.
So now that you're officially married, okay, yes, you're married and all that stuff, because you guys also got married very quickly. Guys, it was so much fun. Like 1 minute Kat is like, guys, I'm getting married. Oh my gosh, that's great. Literally this year, like
what?
So everything's moving really, really fast. You guys are married. literally your son honestly now has 2 different households.
Yes.
What are the challenges that you guys faced, and also how did you overcome them? Because I know if you're in one house, and I think you've spoken to us about it before, you like things in a particular way. He goes to the other house and he's like, depending on where I'm at, it's a vibe, you know. So how did you what were the challenges that you guys had with that, and also how did you guys overcome that?
Okay, so the challenges, firstly, so after 5 months of marriage, he actually moved in and stayed with us full time, which was a blessing on my behalf, because it meant that I got to teach him like how I want my children to be raised, or how both me and my husband want our children to be raised. And I think the biggest challenge we faced, I think, in terms of rules, maybe I'll talk about like sleeping at 8 o'clock. In my house, my kids sleep at 8 o'clock. I'm a routine girl because I know there's so much to do during the day when you come back from work. So I prefer my kids to sleep at 8, you know, supper at 7, you bath before you go to bed. We're very strict on homework and stuff like that. So when he's with his mom, I think they have a different set of rules, you know. So he'll come back and be like, but I don't sleep at this time there.
When I'm there.
And I'm, you know, and how kids are, they start manipulating you and saying, but mommy lets me do this. So you just have to teach him to say, in this house, these are the rules, and this is what you're going to follow, okay? So obviously, every time he goes and he comes back, he has to unlearn and relearn. Unlearn the habits of the other house and relearn new ones. So what we had to do was to just sit together, which also helped when we went for we went to see a child psychologist. So we went to see a child psychologist because the school had actually asked us to do that because he changed schools. So the first school that he went to had 3 terms, whereas they would do interactive learning. They understood how the child is and taught the child according to their abilities. And the new school is just normal, like how we all went to school, right? So he was kind of struggling. So we had to see a psychologist to help us. How do we then get him aligned, right? So part of that, they have to do big background research on the child. So all 3 parents, we all went there and we told them about some of the challenges of, you know, him being raised in 2 different households. And what she suggested is to, you know, make our rules as consistent as possible. If he sleeps at 8 here, let him sleep at 8 there. So that's what we kind of did. We had to kind of align, you know. And there's some channels, I'm a bit extreme, some channels he can't watch, so he knows now, okay, in mommy's house
we don't watch this channel,
and then the other house he's allowed to watch, I don't know, whatever channels he's able to. So I think going to the psychologist helped, that we got to, you know, make our rules as consistent as possible. But there's always trial and error, you know, and it's just being patient on the child, because he's a child. We're the adults in this situation. So I'll never get mad at him and say, oh no, you know, you know, it's just about reminding him, remember boy, when you hear, you do A, B, C, D. Don't forget, you know, by day 3, he's back to the routine.
But did you not feel any like restrictions in the sense of, you know, I'm trying to raise, you know, your son in this particular way, and then now there's resistance? Did you not ever feel like emotionally like I can't do that? Was it always as effortless, like, okay, I've got an order in my house, that's how I want to raise this? Did you ever feel emotionally like I can't do this, or it's a bit tough?
Absolutely. It's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and say every day is like a walk in the park. It's not easy. You need a lot of support from both of you, whether it's
Is it because of him as a child, the relationship with him, or just the dynamic of now having 3 parents?
I think the 3 parent thing is a lot. Obviously, I'll say 2 because me and my husband is like 1, because our goals are the same. And then having somebody else who's 100%. Rightfully there to raise the child, you must all just respect that and be aware of that. You know, even if it gets emotionally draining sometimes, I think my husband's really supportive. You know, he's never really forced me to do anything or put some restrictions. Don't talk to my son like that. Never. To him, I'm his mom, and it's never changed, you know. So I think as a partner, whether it's the woman coming in with the child or the man coming in with the child, you have to be the one who's more supportive and cover the partner that doesn't. Remember when we had Ray, I didn't have a child. Although I genuinely loved children, I didn't have a child. I was only learning with a 3-year-old. I didn't take him from diapers. I took him from already speaking. So he had to support me a lot, you know, and understand when I'm like, I don't know how to do this. This is tough, you know. Or when there are days when I'm like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. We've just been married for 5 months. And now there's a 3-year-old I have to raise, you know. It was really difficult. But I think his family was also supportive in letting him know to say, Katle's never done this before. Do not expect her to do this. I know one incident that, you know, we used to fight about. I can talk about it now because it's over. he'd wake up in the morning and bath the child, and he wanted to do everything so that I don't feel the pinch. And to me, it was like, oh, you saying I'm not woman enough that I can't bath your child, you know? But for him, it was like, no, babe, I was just trying to overcompensate. You know?
So that he doesn't feel like, this is not like, you didn't sign up for this.
You know what I mean?
In a way, I think you kind of did. I don't know if that makes sense.
You do. Yes, you do. Because you make a decision to say, am I really going to take this person with a child? That means I'm invested financially, emotionally, every type of, you know, whatever, you're invested, you know, your family is also invested. Because I know that my husband travels a lot. And at the time when I was pregnant with my daughter, my son's school was really far. My sister would actually come and take him to school. My mom would stay with him. Sometimes he'd sleep over at my mom's house. So everyone's actually involved. It's not just you. You know what I mean?
So what about moms or wives who find themselves in a situation like this, or people who are maybe engaged to get married and they are in the situation, but they can see that the child is resisting? Like, who are you? You're not my mom. And I know it's not something that you had to encounter.
Yes, because you were so young.
Because he was young. And I think the support from your husband, I think your husband would have pulled him to the side and be like, boy,
don't start.
If you don't know how boutique college, he would have been like, listen here, bro. This is not how we're gonna do things right now. But maybe I think from wisdom and also your experience, how do you think someone who has that resistance from the child, I think, or even from the other party, whether it's the child's mother or the child's father, how do you think they'll be able to deal with things like that?
I think the first thing to keep in mind is that you're not there to replace anyone. I'm not there to replace his mom. I'm just here to be a part of, you know, raising the boy. You're not there to replace the dad. So even if the child has grown up and understood, let him spend time with the biological parents as much as he can, because you're not there to replace anybody. And let that son know, if the daughter, or if they're old enough, let them know that this is who I am in your life, and this is what I'm going to do in your life, you know. And put your whole heart into it. If it's not received well, then you know your heart is in the right place. And when your heart is in the right place, it will always radiate. So even if it's 3-4 years later, you'll be like, wow, actually this woman didn't mean any bad, you know. So, and I think also the one thing that damages that is when parents speak ugly about each other to the child. That's what brings that attitude, and I feel like that's wrong as parents to do that, because the child has nothing to do with it, especially at the age where they're 13, 15, 16, where they have a brain and they can actually process that
and hear what's going on. You
know. So I think it's your responsibility as the parents, you know, all 3 of you or all 4 of you in this co-parenting relationship, to understand that the child has nothing to do with it. Don't ever badmouth each other in front of the child. Even grandparents and aunts, you know, your father. No, don't do that, you know, because then you're messing up the child's psyche. So I think that it's our responsibility as parents, firstly, to represent ourselves well to our children, because they grow and they'll see whose heart is in the right place. So you don't want your child to grow up and actually start resenting you for not being responsible as a parent. So I think that, you know, if the child resists, continue. Check yourself, and is my heart in the right place?
So obviously when you're dating and when you're married, it's 2 different things. It's hot and cold. It's like it's a different world. And even for myself and my husband, when we're dating, we can definitely feel like this. It's just different. And I said this from the beginning, you're entering a new world. So not to say that it's a bad space, but now you're discovering more of yourselves or more of each other or one another. And to have a child in that as well, you also need to discover the child and grow together all together. So already with 2 people, it's like you're starting to like step on my toes a little bit, right? And now with the child, I think it's a bit, you know, I think it could be a bit more, because there's emotions, there's this, you have to overcompensate. Sometimes you might feel overwhelmed at times, you know. So I feel like I was thinking to myself, I'm like, maybe premarital counseling should be done with the child, and also to help them to understand, because you don't want them, you know, when because you did, I don't know if you said this the one time with the whole family tree thing, where they do family trees and stuff like that. And then now they're like, they're the only ones. They're the only ones, although it's a great thing, but sometimes because it's not what other people have, they might feel a little bit overwhelmed. So I think maybe the one step you should take, if you are thinking of you know what, I want to settle, and the person that I'm with is or does have a child, maybe consider, you know, asking for premarital counseling, or even a mentor, for lack of a better word.
I think that's a great idea, especially when the child is old enough to have conversations about that kind of stuff. I think that's very key.
And maybe even teaching them when they're young, you know, because the more you drill something in a child's head, there's things that I remember from preschool vividly, because it was drilled in my head, and like just simple things like about Jesus, about the word of God. I remember even the story, for example, the story about Moses and the plagues and all that stuff. I remember it because it was stuff that we learned in preschool. So I don't think we should look down on the fact that children actually have the ability to learn. In fact, they're like sponges right now. They soak up, and the more they soak up things, they're more pliable. Then when they're older, they analyze things, they question, and they're like, and now that they're older, I think especially if you have like a teen, now you're getting married to someone who probably might have a teen, then they're like, but why are you trying to act like my mom though? Whereas if someone is younger, they're able to be obedient to what the dad or the mom is saying, and then learn from that and give the child a second chance. I was just thinking about that. I was like,
I think that's a brilliant idea.
Counseling would be great. And outside of your relationship with your child, do you ever have moments of not strife, but like maybe strife between you and, you know, the child's mom?
Like, what do you know?
Like, do you guys ever have moments of like, I think you're kind of stepping on my toes a little, and how do you minimize strife from, because I mean, you're running your own family, but at the same time, there's also someone who's bringing out input into, you know, how your household is run because of her child as well. How do you minimize that strife? Because I think at some stage of the game, sometimes people step on each other's toes a little.
That's why I say I try to keep it about the child as much as possible, you know, and the rules that we have in our home, if she can't implement or we can't implement, we don't stop her from doing that, you know. Like recently he just got a cell phone for his Christmas present for last year.
No, I remember telling you that, and I was actually having a conversation with Ria, and I'm like, boy, you have a phone? Not my kid. Okay, maybe if I have a kid, I'll see. I don't know. But I was like, I had a phone, I'm sure when I was in grade 7 or 8.
Yeah, and you can't stop stuff like that. Me and my husband, it was not in the books for us, especially for the, you know, maybe until he was done with primary school. But, you know, his mom decided, you know, she wanted to get him a phone, and that's okay, you know. But we just have to understand, he has to know how he uses it in our phone, in our house. I'm not going to pick up the phone and say, oh, why did you get the child the phone? No, you know. And I try not to, you know, step on her toes. You know, I keep it as clean as possible. Even if I don't like something, I swallow it. If I can't have a conversation, I promise you, there are certain things where I feel like, okay, maybe if I know I don't like going out late at night, so sometimes maybe she'll bring the child late. I'll never make a fuss about it. In my heart, I'm like, my kids sleep at 8 though. But you know, I won't make a fuss about it, because I'm just like, is it changing my world? No, it's just that one day when he came back home late. So I feel like it's just about avoiding drama. I think the drama happens when there's too much conversation happening now, or you want to be too much involved in, you know. I think we all respect each other. She's there, I'm here, you know, we're all trying to raise the boys, you know, in a good way. If it is something that's life-changing, then we'll have a conversation about it. But having a phone is not a life-changing situation. It's like, how do we manage it?
Just manage it.
Yeah, you just manage it. And then the child coming home late 1 or 2 nights, how do I manage it? You know, because then I don't want it to be now, you brought him late again. It's like, now I'm being petty. You know, you just need to weigh the situation. And I think that will really minimize any type of, and I also think, like you said, when you came into the relationship, you knew what you were signing yourself up for. So you need to tell yourself to say, okay, I'm in this thing. It's not going to be some smooth road. It's going to be real. There are some kids who are going to come and tell you, you're not my mom. It's about how do you respond.
But do you think there are certain people who can take that? Do you think that there are certain people that can take it? Because, like, I know sometimes, you know, we don't, obviously, like we said, we never plan this stuff and it happened. But do you think there's those people who sometimes just sign up for something they cannot handle at all?
It's hard, guys. It needs heart. Like, you need to... No, know, you need to be strong, and like you need to know what you sign up for. And it's not personal. Kids are like that. I know with my dad, my mom, and my brother, biological. My brother gave my mom a hard time. You know, it's not if a child gives you a hard time, it's not because, oh, you're my stepmom or you're my stepdad, I want to show you. No, kids are kids. But it's about you as the parent to say, see him as a child. And don't see him as your competitor or see him as an outsider, because that's where you get it wrong. You see him as a part of the home. Like in my house, if I buy clothes for the kids, whether my son is here or not, I buy for him. Whatever we plan for the year, whether it's holiday, whatever, he's always in our plan. If I need a helper, my helper needs to be here because my son, because my daughter. But the minute you see him as an outsider, then you might have problems with that. But
or as a stepson,
as
like
a stepson,
I'm half in and I'm half out.
Yes.
No, you must sign up to be fully
full.
in.
It's yours, baby. You know, so even I remember the one time he was like to me, I don't know, because he saw a picture, I think, from his mom's house when the mom was pregnant with him. So you know how kids are. Oh, was I in your tummy? So when he came to me, he's like, oh, mommy, so I was in my other mommy's tummy. I was like, yes, boy. So then the one time he's like, oh, you don't want me my real mommy? I was like, hold up. Who's your real mommy?
Yeah.
No, the one that was in the tummy. I was like, no, so you're saying you're not my real son? He says, no, I am your real son. So I was like, so don't call me
my real
don't
mom.
say the other one's your
and
real
my
mom.
other mom.
Yes, it's either mommy and mom, or you know, my mommy who carried me in my tummy, but it doesn't, she's not realer than what I am, or I'm not realer than what she is, you know.
You're both moms.
Yeah, so I think that the wording and how you know, I'm very big on wording. Some things that you say need to be, that's how you make people a real part of your life. There's no real and not real.
Yeah, I remember that. And it wasn't a long time ago. And Benny was like, you know my real mom? And I was like,
and you're like,
boy.
And the thing is, he's a child. He's just trying to,
obviously, he's trying to, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe then to have him understand this different family dynamic from the get-go is easy, because I think sometimes as black people we don't communicate, ne?
That's the problem.
So we throw kids in there and we kind of expect them to like, it's like sink or swim, like so they're trying to like keep up with what's going on. You guys are adults, you guys know what's going on. You guys already know that, okay, we're trying to do this, you're trying to figure it out amongst yourself, but you leave the child out of it. And I think that's also where it then begins to mess up with how they process things, you know. And to just be real with them and say, this is what happened, this is the conversation that happened. Look, me and your biological mom, we didn't work out, but she's still very present. She's still very much in your life. Because I mean, it would be a different story maybe if the other partner was like, I'm out, whatever. Then you can build your life just, you know, as the two of you, or the one of you when you're married, as husband and wife. But when you have another parent in the picture, I think it's, what I'm picking up is that it's really important not to leave the child out, because I think that's where the problems come from. If your child is unhappy, then ultimately your marriage is going to be unhappy, and then the relationships, because if there's strife between the parents, then the child messed up, and then ultimately everything else is going to be a mess. We're going to go into practicality and like, how do we navigate the space? But I think as you were talking, it was being practical in a sense that don't leave the child out, you know, focus on you guys as parents. And I think also the parents will also need structure, because you can't have, I think parents also need to communicate. You might not necessarily, obviously, you know, we go through things as humans. If you're no longer with the person, you might have your own feelings, emotions, or whatever. But I think it's good to get a healthy relationship. We don't have to be happy, we don't have to be best friends, but we need to be able to communicate in a healthy way. And I think that's one of the things that you would talk about, that you guys created a good structure. Maybe if you can share whatever you can share of how you guys created that structure of communication with your son's mom.
So the nice thing is with her, I think she was also very receptive of me, but I think my husband said,
baby, well, listen.
I think he set that baseline, you know. But also, you know, the boys in my care most of the time. I'm not saying dads are not present, they are, but like, you know, moms are normally the one who pick up when the child's sick or whatever, and you want to be able to call the mommy and be like, hey, you know, this and this is happening, you know, like right now we're all on one medical aid, so she'll have to keep a card for when he's there and when something's happening, you know, and he does have a skin problem, so a lot of the times he has to go to the dermatologist or use really like crazy amounts for medication. So sometimes she'll call and say, oh guys, you know, can I, you know, it's because she doesn't know how much is in our funds or whatever. But she'll call, hi guys, can I do this? Because, you know,
that's good.
Which is good. But I think also, like I said, my husband said that thing to say she's as equal as a parent as I am. So please call my wife if you need ABCD. You know, so he opened that door for her to do that. And when she does call me, it's always about the child. If he sidetracks like quickly,
you kind of just like
you know what I mean? Because you also don't want it to be all over the show and then you forget what the purpose of the whole thing is. But you know, I keep the conversation
about the child
on the phone most of the time. Okay, I'm not really a WhatsApp person. We hardly ever WhatsApp. Don't WhatsApp. We keep it on the phone.
I'm a friend, I know.
So we call, we'll text, you know, this and this I need for the child. But in terms of like a school uniform, I try to have my own. She'll have her own at her house. That's
great, yeah.
My son has his own wardrobe, clothes, everything in my house. Same with her. So when he comes to my house,
he doesn't have to be packing
there's no bags.
Things,
and are you calling, go past Chaco say? No, we don't do that.
Yeah.
So everyone has their own sets of stuff, you know, because he needs to feel like he belongs in both
everywhere.
homes. Yeah. So when he's at our house, he has a full life. When he's at his mom's house, he has a full life. The only thing he'll go back and forth is his school bag, because obviously, and he's quite athletic, so all his cricket stuff, whatever, he'll come back and forth with. But I think the communication, my husband opens the door for that, and how we maintain it is that it's either via call or SMS or whatever, and it's always on the child, you know. So always invite your partner, even if like you're the lady coming into the relationship with the child, you know, if your husband is comfortable enough, invite him. Babe, you can call his dad if you need ABCD. And I think that's very mature.
Sure.
I think it takes a very comfortable person to do that, you know. And I think also how you enter into someone's life. If you took the man from another woman, it's not mature. But if you came into the relationship and it was clean,
with a good clean slate,
then there's nothing she should be angry at, or nothing the other guy should be angry at. It's just a thing of, listen, there's a child, you know, it's not about us, it's about nothing else but this child. And we hope that everybody's intentions in the co-parenting relationship are clear. I'm not saying go on holiday together and do crazy things like that. If you want to.
Yeah, I think there are those people who can manage, but I think know yourself.
Yeah, you need to know your boundaries.
You need to know yourself. You need to know your
Yeah.
boundaries. You don't want to be like sharing an accommodation. Now you're in Zimbabwe.
Now it's in Bali.
One's in the other room and
yeah, if you can, you know, share with us the tips. We'd like to know.
Yeah, maybe share tips if that's your vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
personally, I'd not sign up for that. So if you are in a relationship and you've been wondering, sure, this might seem overwhelming, or maybe if you know you realize that, okay, you've been married but you've been doing it the wrong way, I think there's something to take away.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, my friend is not on social media. She's not the social media gal.
Yeah,
but you can, I don't know how we'll do it. I know you guys usually comment below. Yeah, you can comment below, but you also can comment if you have the time, because she's got her hands full. But if you have the time, I know on the YouTube things, you can also respond on someone else's reply. Absolutely. So if you do have any other questions, I think we pretty much covered it, you know. I love the fact that, guys, the honesty is it's not an easy thing.
Yeah, and it's trial and error.
If you're signing up for it to just be easy, then that's your baby. But the reality is that everything needs effort. And I think also with the child, it needs more effort, it needs sensitivity, and it needs love more than anything. Because
lots of love.
One of the things I've learned from you is that you love your son like it's like you can't even compare. You can't even compare. And we have learned, even as her friends, to say, no, that's Katli's son. It's not just, you know, no, it's Katli's son. And he knows us as auntie, and Auntie Buli, and you know, he knows us as family. So I think that's the most important. Groom the child, fight for the child to grow up in an environment of love.
Absolutely.
Because I think if his environment at home is not a healthy environment, then he's going to project that onto society and how he deals with people out there. Then we have problematic you know, kids or problematic society. Ultimately, it may not be what people know as the norm, but if it's an environment of love, I think it's doable.
Love covers everything. Even if it's hard, even if you feel like you've been going through it the wrong way, there's always a chance to really start again. And the first place to start is to love the child. And everything flows from love. To me, I've never said, I've got one son that I'm co-parenting with other people. And no, I've got three children. And that's how I've settled it in my heart. And I think that's the place to start, with love, and just be real with yourself and say, you know what? This is a tough journey, but I'm willing, and my heart is in it, and everything will fall into place.
Awesome conversations. Thank you so much, friend, for starting this conversation. I always say, every time we do Wife Talks, is that I always realize it's such an intro, because many times also in the comment section, people are going to be talking and wondering and thinking, yo, how do you navigate the space? And it opens up a conversation for another time. So it was a good intro, and thanks for having us. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll definitely catch up soon. On to the next one. We hope you enjoyed this one. Till next time, bye.